Hey everybody, I'm Wesley with Rose City Fab, and today I'm going to give you a tour of how the threaded side of our fab shop works. So we start here at what we call the breakout table. This is where we will bring in full lengths of pipe. Most of the time it comes banded from the supplier. We'll lay it up on the table, break the bands, and then we thread by size first, length first. So for instance, this shop has a 4-inch Schedule 40 that we've already threaded and it's moved down the line. And now we are all the way down to 1-inch pipe is what we're working on at this point in this particular job. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so after we've got the pipe up on the breakout table, at this point we can move forward to the first step of the process. These are what we call cut sheets. These are generated by AutoSprink, which is a form of AutoCAD used by most sprinkler design companies. And this gives us all the information that we need. This gives us the customer job name and number if we need that for reference. It tells us the size of the pipe, the length of the pipe, what it is. If it's galvanized, it will note it here. Quantity of the pipe, the end type, which this is thread by thread, the fitting that goes on one end, and the line number and piece number. So the customer will send us this information in a PDF. We print it out, and then we come out here. These are the labels that we print in-house. This is all generated from AutoSprink, provided by the customer. And this gives us the same information. So this is the line number, the piece number, the pipe, the end type, the length, the fitting, and then also the customer job name and job number. So let's start by rolling a piece of pipe onto the roller bed. Now this is our cold on here. Slide my pipe through here. Now we have the cold saw, and then we also have a slide stop. The slide stop has a tape measure on it. That saves us from having to pull a tape measure on every single piece of pipe we do. We can use the slide stop until we get short enough that it won't reach. And we also, if we have multiple pieces, we can use that and not have to reset every time. So this piece that we're doing is 9 foot 10 and a half. I'm going to set my slide stop at 9 foot 10 and a half. Now I've got my piece pulled through here, and I've stopped my piece because I'm going to go ahead and put a label on here. Now I like to cross-reference and take the length of what I'm working on and check the line and the piece number so I can find the right label and do everything in order of what is on the cut sheet. The labels a lot of the times are printed in order of piece utilization. So if you cut a piece of pipe and there's extra left on that, it typically will lay out the labels in a fashion so that you can cram everything in and use one piece. But since we cut by length first, we go through off the cut sheet instead of off of the label board. I'm going to stick this label on here. I'm going to wipe it off, make it stick a little bit better. I'm going to pay attention to the direction that I put the label on, because if it's 3 foot and longer, we roll it through this first machine that's behind this cold saw. It'll get one end threaded, it'll go across the table to the other machine and get the other end threaded. And I do this so that when it goes through that second machine, this end will be towards the end of the table. And when they go to pull a fitting on, they can read this label and it won't be backwards. We're going to put a piece of packing tape on here. Even though these are all weather labels, this just helps to make sure that the label, when it gets wet, that it doesn't leak through. It makes it a little bit more rugged when it's being moved around the shop. Now I can roll this piece down to the slide stop, clamp it up in my vise, and I can cut it. Now that this piece is cut, since it's long enough, it will roll right here to this machine. If it's a shorter piece, I place the label in a fashion so that when it's spun at that second machine, that the label will be facing the correct direction down there. The reason we have a threader on each side of the table is you're not trying to spin long pieces of pipe, you're not getting oil all over everything. There's going to be some oil left in the pipe, and we just prevent that. Now I can mark that piece off, and I can go to the next one. And now, let's go look at the threaded part. Okay, so this is Landon. He's our shop helper. Today he's threading pipe for us, and he's doing 1.25" pipe right now. So why don't you go ahead and thread some pipe for us and see how this works. So let's get a little bit closer view of what's going on here. So this is the Rothenberger. This is a Collins 22A machine, and the basic functions of this machine are just to cut thread. You can ream pipe on it. Now this has an auto chuck on it. It has a forward and reverse switch on the side here. So if he goes ahead and pushes a piece of pipe in here, if he puts this machine in forward and hits the pedal, it'll chuck up. This one's nice, it has an auto chuck on it. Now this machine, obviously you have your cutting wheel here, but this also has a 4-position die head. It's got 2 inches on a slide of its own for adjustment, and then it's also got a slot for 1.5", 1.25", and 1 inch here. And we set it up for every size pipe. We also check our threads often to make sure that they're still good. So what he's going to do is he's going to put this in the 1.25" slot. You can also ream with your machine. You just twist this handle and then you can ream. Being with a cold saw, we don't ream because it doesn't leave that lip inside. Reaming is optional. I tell the guys they have the option to. So now he can go ahead and thread this piece of pipe. Once it starts threading, he can let go of the handle entirely and the threads will pull it up on the pipe. And then when the pipe reaches the end of the die segments, he can release the handle and roll his slide back. Now he can wipe the excess oil off the pipe. And then he'll check the threads on it to make sure they're good. We have a little bit of a tolerance on these, so it doesn't have to be just perfect. But these thread gauges are designed so that when you put it on the pipe, once it snugs down, it should be flush with the end. That's about half a thread extra. Shallow, that's fine, not to be worried about. If it was 2 inch or something, I would be concerned about it, but this isn't bad. And then he can stamp it. He gets his own individual stamp. That way he can be identified later as to who threaded this piece of pipe. And then he can put it in reverse. It'll loosen the jaws up. You can push it back out the backside, and then it'll roll over here onto this table. We try to stack a few pieces of pipe up over here before we send them across. And now this one side of the pipe is threaded and it's ready to be sent over to the other side. You can slide them across the roller table here. Now that they're at the other end, we'll go to the other end and the other end can be threaded. So now he can roll his pipe down on the table. And it's ready to be threaded down here. So he's going to go ahead and thread the other end of that first piece for us. And these machines operate in the same way. They're the exact same machines. They're both Collins Classic 22A machines. Nice machines that are made for production. Same process, he'll wipe the oil off. We don't check every single thread that we do. We just check threads. About every 10 threads you make is when we check it. He's got his stamp on there. Now he'll unchuck that piece of pipe, roll it down the table, and then we'll look at the next step. So now that he has the other end threaded, he can check his label and find out what the piece is. Set the T out there. That one gets 1 1/4 inches by 1 1/2. This other one's going to be 1 1/4 inches by 1 1. And then he can take his can of dope and he'll put dope on the threads. And then just spin the fitting on hand tight, not really super tight. And it's ready for the next step. Let's get that other one now. And it's ready to roll down the table to the angle stop on the end down here. And it's ready for the next step. Alright, so this is our fitting puller. It's run off of pneumatics. This is a pneumatic vise. So what he's going to do is he's going to take this piece of pipe up in here, place it in the vise, and then this head will turn and it will pull the fitting on. Why don't you go ahead and show them how that works. First step is to verify you got the right fitting on there. Just a means of double checking. The vise has a foot pedal he can use. Once it's snugged up in there, you can hit the switch. This is the first one we've done for this size. So he's going to verify that it pulled it on all the way to makeup. If it didn't, we will adjust accordingly. And then he's going to put a punch on the fitting itself to let us know who actually pulled the fitting on. So there's multiple steps of verification here, so we can go back and find out where mistakes have been made and they can correct them, because you can't ever correct a mistake if you never know you made it. The guy's got the fitting on. He's going to see this particular customer wants all of these pieces bundled by line number. So he's going to take that piece of pipe, check what line number it is, and place it on the rack that has the appropriate line number on it. Not all customers want them bundled by line number. This particular customer on this specific job, these are modular units, so they want them to be bundled by line number. It makes it easier for them out in the field when they go to install. And there's that. Okay, so now when we finish production and all of the line numbers are put together, we'll bag up the short pieces and the nipples after we pull fittings on them. And then we will band. We have steel banding material. We'll band all the lines together, and then it'll be ready to go out. So that is how our fab shop works on the threaded side, and a step-by-step process from when it comes into the shop to when it goes out of the shop. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and comment. And if you need any fab work done, give us a call, 903-515-8090, or you can look us up at www.rosecityfab.com. Once again, my name is Wesley with Rose City Fab, and thank you for watching.